the structure of economy. Structure. Structure means the sectoral composition of the economy. If you have the whole economy like this, then you have about 60% in services, about 17% in agriculture. This will be agriculture, services, industry. Primary, secondary, tertiary. So initially it was all agriculture, animal husbandry. Then you developed techniques and machinery. You freed up a lot of labor. And then side by side, and even more so later, you worked on steam engine, this, that. And while working on agriculture, while working on industry, you developed services also, finance and transport and so on. And in the services sector, you can have, primary, secondary, tertiary, quaternary. Quaternary. That is, see, today the importance of quaternary you cannot overstate. Why? Information, knowledge, processing, storage, all the data centers, storage, retrieval, that's mining, dissemination, value addition, you name it. All these big guys are working only on data. The entire artificial intelligence is about data. Right now, though, it's just about a little cradle baby. It doesn't even have right information. It throws up so many incorrect things. In course of time, maybe. So it's all data. So knowledge, research, development, information, that part of the services sector is called quaternary sector. I'm sure that's okay. Now, what is quinary sector? Quinary is not a separate sector, but in all sectors, the contribution of the top leadership, the CEOs, all the Mukesh Ambanis and Mahindras, what they contribute, Musk, Gates, and senior civil servants, I would assume. All of them, what do they contribute? That is called quinary sector in one school of thought. Another school of thought says that the contribution of the voluntary sector, non-government sector, that the non-profits, that is the quinary. So there is no consensus as to what is quinary. Up to quaternary, we know what each one of the words means, but quinary we don't know. Quinary, there is this division of opinion, but it's okay. Structure of economy as it evolves. As the economy evolves, agriculture contributes the least because the GDP is big. And the number of people, agriculture contributes more, surely food and all that. GDP being much bigger, the contribution of agriculture looks pretty insignificant. The number of people working in agriculture is very less because it's all, industrialized. And manufacturing sector contributes all right, more than agriculture, but not too much. Services. And within the services right now, it's all quaternary. Health, quaternary. Education, quaternary. Now another explanation, another perspective, another meaning of the structural, the word structural, I'm going to tell you now. This is important. Anytime you read about the Indian economy in the last 30-35 years, you will certainly come across structural reforms. So what is the structural reform? The second meaning of the word structure. The second meaning of the word structure is, remember Indian economy, its shape in 91. Remember Indian economy today, of course we are returning there, but not too much. So Indian economy was closed. Now it is open. We didn't invite the foreign direct investment. Now we are inviting them. Stock market was sleepy. Stock market today is jumping all around, and then public sector called shots. Now there is privatization and so on. Rupee was fixed in its value. Rupee is freed up and left in the market. So and RBI this and that. So the structure of the economy pre-91 was largely controlled and enclosed. Now it is decontrolled and open within and to the world also. That is another perspective on the word structure of the economy, the structural. So when you hear the term structural reforms Indian economy requires, what is the meaning? Open up, competition. That's what the word structural means. Liberalize, globalize, privatize. That's what it means. Now, let us get into those concepts that we have lined up for now, which is, economic systems. See, we were talking at the outset about there is nature, resources. There we are, part of nature of course, and we need to work on nature so that our needs are met. And what are your needs? Whose needs? Are your needs as good as my wants, or my wants are superior? All this is ideology. So, there are schools and schools here. Let's begin with liberalism. About 300 years back, 250, 275, Adam Smith started the school of liberalism in economics. In evolution of the state and so on, you had the thinkers, Hobbes, Locke, etc. So what is this liberalism? Human being is rational. He can take decisions out of self-interest for his own good. And the self-interest of all of us added together is social interest. That is the fallacy they had committed, but that is what they still believe in. I would like to communicate well so that all of you understand and I get my result, my self-interest. You would like to, for your own self-interest be a high-flying ranker, self-interest. Tomorrow you are a civil servant, you would like to implement a Jal Jeevan so that the Honorable Prime Minister shakes hands with you. Self-interest, but Jal Jeevan gets done. So, our self-interests add up for common good. That is what the liberals say. Government, you please stay out. Provide public goods, law and order and roads and electricity and so on. Armed forces and police and courts. Stay out. Don't have to regulate us. We are fine. We are rational. I'm a producer, I know what to produce, how to produce. You're a distributor, you know what to distribute. You're a consumer and you value your financial resources. You know what to consume, at what price, is that. So, each one working in our own self-interest, all our self-interests add up to collective, common, social good. And you call that if I could, you know the Prime Minister, if he works well, he'll come back to power. Even self-interest is good enough for good governance. You don't have to be Mahatma Gandhi. Even Mahatma Gandhi may be fired by self-interest of going down in the pages of history. So it's all self-interest that drives you, and what's wrong about it? The self-interest. That is what they thought. But I think it's fallacious, because your self-interest, you know what they meant by self-interest is increasingly becoming profit making. I want to make profit. Let Joshimath sink. Let Himachal Pradesh be washed out. Let Uttarakhand be washed out. I don't care. I made my profit. I'm going to Switzerland. I'll settle there. So, you know, self-interest, they misunderstood self-interest, or they had such a broad-minded idea of self-interest that they mistook it for input into the common interest, etc. So this is called invisible hand. Government says we have to regulate you. Then the liberals tell the government, sir, you please understand, we are all working for society, not as a philanthropic activity, but out of our own self-interest, we are contributing as much as is necessary for social good. So you don't have to tell us what to do, how to do, all that. You stay out of the economy. So the concept of invisible hand is a substitute for government regulation being driven by the philosophical understanding that we all are rational, our self-interest is, you know, the nuts and bolts of common good are our self-interest. So that is liberalism. Then you have socialism. So what does, you know, the whole thing here is, so you are a liberal economist, you know, you must be reading the comments about Indian economy by very world famous economists. A liberal economist will tell the government, sir, you wanted to disinvest 51,000. How much have you disinvested? Only 13,000. Sell, sir, sell, sell, sell. So a liberal person will say, why Narega? What's so good about Mahatma Gandhi Narega? Leave them alone. Give them more room for investing in rural areas. That will create employment. Why this ad hoc system of distressed conditions, you know, the off-season and ad hoc employment? Liberal. A liberal wants the state to be out and leave it to, you know what the liberalism is? There's a French word for that. Laissez-faire. Leave them alone. Let it be. Don't tinker, don't tamper, don't regulate. They can do it very well. That is laissez-faire. Private people, individuals and businesses are the architects of the economy. That's liberalism. That's how economics started. Adam Smith. Adam Smith also used another term. I would like to explain that to you purely from an exam perspective. This Keynes also popularized animal spirits. Okay, I will not talk of Adam Smith here. I will, bring it up while dealing with stimulus economics, Keynes. So, invisible hand, I'm so sorry. I hope you have not written this. Invisible hand. We talked of so many goods that everything looks like a good. and the good. So socialism is what? Socialism is very simple. This is the economy. Some portion of the economy is owned by the government. It has to be ownership by the government, some portion of it. Be it railways, be it power, be it defense, be it space, be it whatever. A portion of the economy being owned by the government necessarily makes it socialist. Communist economy is the entire thing is owned by the government. There is no private property at all in communism. If you have more vegetables grown in your kitchen garden, you have to give it to the government so that the government distributes it. If you are found selling it, even bartering it, exchanging it, you will be booked. So the entire economy being owned by the government without any scope for private property is what you call communism. Socialism and mixed economy. Mixed is partly owned by the government, partly owned by the private sector. So socialism necessarily has mixed economy. Part of the government, part private sector. Communism, there is nothing private about communism. Liberalism bats for private ownership and private entrepreneurial operation. But India is a liberal country, but we also have socialist. So liberalism is no government ownership, no government regulation, as little of regulation as possible, handed over to the private sector. That is liberalism. Then comes, why I am talking about all this is economics is colored by ideology. Ask X, he'll say, sir, nationalize, sir. Ask Y, he'll say, privatize, sir. Ask Z, he will say, disinvestment, sell a few shares but don't sell the company. And somebody will say, sir, let us introduce licensing requirement for laptops, sir, because Indian domestic industry has to come up. Somebody will say, don't ever do that, sir, competition is very essential. Within the country, if you want to develop, you have to be open to forces outside the country also important. So, economics is ideology. Economics is ideology. That's why you need to know all this. And then welfare. Welfareism, which is exactly what India is. Vishwakarma, PM E-Bus, Jal Jeevan. Across the spectrum, full spectrum, all Ujjwala, Saubhagya, Anna Yojana, it's all welfare. Whichever way you see, it's all welfare. So this welfareism is what guides the government of India's economic policy, apart from all else. That is why, this is a classical welfare. That is, what's a welfare state? Welfare state where the welfare of the people is the responsibility of the state. Not just senior citizens, not just vulnerable people, everyone. Jal Jeevan is for everyone. It's not vulnerable. Saubhagya is for everyone, electricity for all. So the welfare of the entire population, particularly the vulnerable, is the responsibility of the government, which is what is written down in the directive principles and all.
Sir, then can communism and welfareism are parallel?
See, communism goes much beyond welfare. Whether, take North Korea. Whether welfare is there or not, we don't know, but what we certainly know is the government occupies the entire economy, owns the entire economy. So in North Korea, there is no consequence of welfare. Why does the government own the economy? So that inequalities are bridged, everyone has productive job, and there is no concentration of wealth and all that. That is the reason why there is communism. But the North Korean communism, does it have all those effects? No. So communism, welfare, in economics, welfare is, government doesn't have to own any economy, American economy. It's a welfare state, but government doesn't own anything. North Korea, government owns everything. Where is the welfare? People are dying of famine. So communism is communism, total ownership of economy. Socialism is partial ownership of the economy by the government. In welfare, we are a welfare state, but partial ownership is there. America is a welfare state, but there is no ownership of the economy by the government. So you can't generalize. Yes? You got it? Okay. After welfare, Mahatma Gandhi, he is village economy, village self-republics, decentralization, no craze for industry, land reforms, all that. Bread labor. The most wonderful concept of Mahatma Gandhi is bread labor. Earn your bread by your labor. Work for your bread. Work, sweat, and earn your bread. That's, I think, the most transformative concept that you can come across. You work. And then there is neoliberalism. Remember, what did you do? What did you do in 91? In 91, you went to neoliberalism. What is neoliberalism? Please understand. Ronald Reagan, Margaret Thatcher, in the late 70s and 80s. And early 80s. See, when communism was collapsing, China was going into the market, Gorbachev was opening up perestroika, etc. So what is the proof? What's the meaning of all this? The meaning is state control has run out of steam. It is leading to decline in productivity. There is no competition, entrepreneurship. Economy cannot be built on a prosperous basis like this. You have to have entrepreneurship, competition, finance capital, technology, innovation, large-scale production for your own prosperity through exports. So, the collapse of communism in USSR and China showed that the most viable principle for economic organization is entrepreneurship, private initiative, state not playing a significant role in the production and distribution of goods and services. So liberals had come back. The crash of communism brought the liberals back, and when an ideology returns, for example today, Karl Marx is not popular. There was a time he swept the whole world like wildfire. China, Cuba, Vietnam, USSR, you name it. India also, communist parties and all. But today, what? Nowhere. I mean, how do you, Karl Marx? What Karl Marx? But after 50 years or so, if the economy demands, Marx can come back. That will be called a neo-communism or neo-Marxism. When an ideology, after going redundant, going out of favor for some time, returns, it is, the word neo is attached to it. It is the prefix to it. Liberalism, neoliberalism. Marxism, neo-Marxism. So liberals had come back and you call them neoliberals, and I would like you to see, and Nehru is Nehru. Nehru is basically state ownership, public sector, and Nehru. See, what Nehru stands for can be understood only historically. Nehru is not someone you can understand outside history. Gandhiji you can understand. 500 years earlier, 500 years later, Gandhiji you can understand. Whereas Nehru you can't understand outside the historical period in which he presided. British had left, they had ruined us, we didn't have financial resources, we had to bring up the country, we have China breathing down and we have Pakistan breathing down, defense has to come up, space and atomic energy, all that have to come up, capital goods have to come up, side by side you also have to boost your agriculture, irrigation. That is Nehru's, list of priorities. If Nehru was born 100 years later, Nehruvian ideology would be something else. In this situation, Nehru is public sector, state-driven, welfare state, etc., etc. Now, Dharmendraji, the graphic. Liberal, neoliberal, welfare, Keynesian. Keynesian is, we don't go into Keynes in general, his economic thought. Keynes is material to us only when the economy is not doing well, when there is no demand, private sector won't be able to do anything. They close their factories and relax, but the economy has to come up. Jobs have to be created, incomes have to be generated. Therefore, the government, borrowing from the Reserve Bank of India, will invest in the economy, roads and buildings and so on, in order to stimulate the economy. That is, we need to know Keynes only demand management. The word used there is demand management, but stimulus. Government borrows and invests in the infrastructure so that it has a multiplier effect. Private sector comes back, they take credit, they open more factory, there will be a lot of people employed. Exactly what is going on in the country today. You must have heard the term capex. This is capital expansion. Borrow money and spend it on infrastructure. That is capital expansion. Gandhian. I didn't include Nehru for the reason that the graphic was too big. Yeah. Austerity means, see, symbol is scissors. Austerity means cut down the expenditure, tighten your belt. Why? Because the fiscal condition is such. There are times when you have to open the purse and splurge the money, post-COVID. There are times when you have to go for austerity, tighten your belt. Sometime after the economy grows and all that, tighten your belt. Or if there is a bit of a pressure, then you tighten your belt, reduce your expenditure, austerity. In India, we never heard of austerity because we are always in need of public investment to stimulate the economy. We have always had the government borrow and spend. So, austerity as such, I can't recall in India, genuine austerity, cutting down significantly on government expenditure. Neoliberals want the government to get out of their way. Austerity. Neoliberals means austerity. Post-91 reforms. All this is from our notes only. Tabulated. These are the ideologies that economists have. Gandhian ideology, I don't see anyone having. A lot of people do have, but they are not in power. Therefore, he is not heard of. All others, basically today we have the cacophony of liberals. Neoliberal, when I studied economics, was a bad word. You want the government to go out. There are no public universities. only private universities, funding for colleges out, everything privatized, public-private partnership where there is no public, only private. But today we can't even criticize because that has become the norm. That's become the paradigm. So we can't criticize. We can't criticize. Don't criticize. Okay. Types. Okay. See here, laissez-faire. How much time is left? 20. Spend 2-3 minutes here. 4 minutes also justified. Get your mind clear. These are the fundamentals of economy. So shall we take this up? Anything else that business cycle we have not talked of? Let's talk of the business cycle. But before we come to the business cycle, I want to talk of opportunity cost and the trade-off. This we will talk later. Yeah, macro, micro. You see, okay. While we're dealing with economics, depending upon your focus, variety of subfields in economics. I'm talking about economic growth. I'm talking about inflation. I'm talking about the current account deficit. I'm talking about exports and imports. I'm also talking about the labor, etc. So what am I talking about? I'm talking about the entire system, which is what you call macroeconomics. Growth, inflation, and the phenomena that pertain to the entire economy, the entire national economy, state, whatever the canvas, that is called macroeconomics. And when I talk about the consumer, when I talk about an enterprise, when I talk about a sector, Lassalgaon, Maharashtra, the largest onion market, that will be micro. I'm talking about the onion market. Karnataka, tomato. I'm talking about tomato market in Karnataka, and that again is micro. And will I buy tomato or will I look for a substitute? Consumer behavior, that will be, micro. Consumer behavior, the behavior of the enterprise, what he grows. See the tomato farmers. Why there was so much of price rise? Because last year tomato did not pay well, so lot of farmers did not go for tomato, and so tomato production was less, number one. There were plant diseases, number two. Lot of rain washed it out, number three. So the production was so less, prices shot up. Now you know what the farmers will do? Oh, 70 rupees, my neighbor made 60 rupees, another neighbor 50. So let me grow tomato. All of them will grow tomato. Production will be so much in surplus, glut. Prices will crash. This guy who borrowed and grew tomato, if he is lucky, he'll get the money back. Otherwise, he'll have to dump it on the road or sell it at 2 rupees. This is a classical cycle. I don't call it business cycle, but there is. Tomato, growth, peak, crash. Again, you learn your lessons and, This is not business cycle. I have not spoken of business cycle. I am only talking of microeconomics, where you talk of the market, you talk of the enterprise, you talk of the consumer. That is micro. Macro is the entire economy being the focus. There are other subfields also. International economics, your exports and imports and foreign direct investment and exchange rates. Rupee, before I entered the classroom, was 83.25. 83 has become the norm now. 83 is something you can't negotiate with. The next psychological mark will be 84. So that's all international economics, internationalization of rupee, exports, imports. Labor economics, creation of jobs and skilling and wages, all that is labor economics. Then you have two schools of economics. In the notes that there is in your hands, I have focused on two schools. Both the schools are going to shadow you, till you kind of, crack this. Environmental economics, behavioral economics. I am going to talk of both. See, today Joshi Mutt has what they call land subsidence sunk. God knows how deep it will go. Cracks in all the houses there. That's happening in some Jammu also. What is environmental economics? Following sound sustainability policies and their impact on economics. I will give you examples. Surely there are two types of economists. One type of economist, what will he say? Let Joshi Mutt go to hell, you make your money and come out. That is I'm sorry to say this, I'm sorry, very sorry, liberal economics, you see. But the environmental economics person, what will he say? Oh, real people are there, real Joshi Mutt, real Ganga, a lot of heritage. Let's go slow, let's balance it. So he will tell the government about environmental policies, environmentally friendly policies which are essential for Joshi Mutt's sustainability. I can take you to Punjab, go to Punjab, Haryana, Western UP, stubble burning, this is the season. Stubble, that agricultural residue, they burn because the time is up for the next crop. They have to burn it quick. But in the process, we are all breathing fumes. It's spoiling our health. So catch hold of a good economist. You know what he'll say? Sir, these farmers they have been farming for centuries. They are the most responsible farmers. They have not given proper information and proper policy. Therefore, sir, you tell them, collect all the residue, make it into biochar, and use that as fertilizer, whatever, or even fuel, will give you green credits. So by not burning, by converting that into fuel, how much is the saving in terms of the pollution? X. That is equal to 100 rupees, you take it. He's a Punjab farmer. Farmer is a farmer. He would love to do that. Or you tell him there is a FPO here, let all of them buy a happy cedar or some decomposer, and with that you do this. Or you tell him, we will subsidize. So an environmental economist will bring the government, will bring the market to suggest environmental policies which are economically sound. I'll give you one more example. That one more example is, you're all industries and you pollute. Industry means pollute. So you know what I'll do? Each one of you can emit 10 kgs of carbon dioxide. 10, you are allowed. If you can install better equipment, if you can be far more efficient, and if you emit only 9 kg, that 1 kg you sell. That 1 kg worth of CO2, carbon credits you sell. So cap and trade, cap and trade. Cap it at 10, show more efficiency, don't even emit 10, emit less than 10, that savings that you made, the emissions that you saved on, you emitted less than that, the difference, carbon credit, take money. So each one of you would love to be environmentally sound by adopting cap and trade policies. You know, that market is coming up, it will come in the prelim. Carbon market in India is taking shape. This is already October, it will come in the prelim. More than 60% chance is there, the carbon market. I could have talked about it, maybe I'll talk about it tomorrow, environmental economics. So tomorrow if the question is about environmental economics, cap and trade is one, stubble burning is another, these are the two, carbon tax is one more, carbon tax. Now you come to, this is about environmental economics. Now you come to behavioral economics. Oh, now you please, environmental economics, take a look. Everything is given so interestingly. You're all excited by these symbols also. You know, visually it should appeal. It is a multi-dimensional exercise, communication. Simplicity, relevance, visual appeal, you know, no nonsense. Stubble burning, carbon tax, cap and trade. If you give these three examples, the examiner feels respected. You know, he feels, yeah, the candidate has respect for me. Yeah, then you are his favorite. You write your answers just the way these graphics are crafted. Just this way. I'll show you so many. It will become a part of your thinking process. So we are through with environmental economics. Now behavioral, that Richard Taylor, you will show it, you know, after 5 minutes. Because I want you to focus on my lecture rather than be distracted. See, don't underestimate behavior. A lot of reform is behavior. For example, you know, Richard Taylor, nudge economics, he got the Nobel a few years back. Niti Aayog takes his services. Behavioral economics is, our behavior is not always rational, number one. It can be tailored into rationality, number two. We are not rational, for God's sake. If you think like Adam Smith that you are rational, that you are mistaken like Adam Smith. Why? We are not rational. Given conditions, we try to be as rational as possible, but each one of us has our own individual rationality. Whether to call it rationality or otherwise is itself, you know, a dilemma. Now, they say, even as we are, when he got the Nobel, when he got lots of money, Nobel money, he said, I will spend it most irrationally. So, you know, which is what our nature is. Now, he says, let the government have a nudge unit. So, tell the nudge unit, gentlemen, friends, you have to ensure that all children get vaccinated. If parents have any problem, it's your job to convince them that they need to send their children for vaccination. So how do you tune the behavior? What sort of communication you will develop? What sort of images will you bring in, celebrities or how? You know, similarly, everyone should, all the, you know, financial inclusion, lots of people are outside banks and other organized financial system. If they come into the bank, they'll have lots and lots of advantages. The nation develops and they also develop, but then they have certain biases and barriers psychologically. So you tell them the benefits of opening a bank account. So change their behavior. Tax, you change the behavior. Health, you change the behavior. Send your child to school. Don't be cynical. She may not become a Kalpana Chawla tomorrow, but day after she will certainly become. Yeah? So Kalpana Chawla means, the astronaut. So, you can change the behavior for education, health, tax, environment. You tell the farmers there, friends, you please, stubble burning, you please stop. Bad for you, bad for everybody, bad for field also. Behavior just like ours. When we meet a good person, our behavior changes for good, and vice versa. So there is so much of utility in establishing nudge units to change the behavior in such a way that it's good for the individual, good for the society. Tax, if you can make people comply, government benefits, and the guy who paid the tax also, he's loanable, etc. He gets a lot of loan. So a lot of benefits are there for taxes. You tell him the school in your neighborhood is the result of your neighbor paying the tax. That's how the school is come. Of course, some prerequisites are required. So Richard Taylor, Dharmendra ji, let's have it. Richard Taylor. Where is Richard Taylor? Oh, 1 second. On macro, micro also, let them take a look. Yeah. Macro, micro, yeah. I also want to tell you, the whole of economics, we are giving you a book to start with and you will love it. Identically, every subject, the entire general studies, you will get books that you will love reading. You won't sleep. Even if you sleep, you will sleep for 2 hours and get up because the books are so good to read. Simple and to the point and examine all that. So before the class finishes, I want to take 1 minute of yours. Once again, these books, classes, Hindu, and the stuff that we post on the website, if you do that from now till May, there is no question of looking back. You please record what I am saying. There is no question of looking back. After that, when you proceed for the main, there is no question of looking back. Interview is a separate game altogether. So prelim and main, 360 degrees you are taken care of. If you do what I have just now told you to do, please have trust in me. Don't trust me. After reading the books and stuff, you will tell me what you have said is correct. Yeah. Now, 1 second, please. Read anything else only after exhausting our material. You can read the whole world, the US Congress Library, the entire thing you go through, but after exhausting our material. And you will ask me, when are we getting material? Before the 15th of November. Starting in about a week, we will roll it out, one after one after one. By the 15th of November, maybe 20th of November, you will get everything. After that, you won't sleep, I bet. Yeah. Next is Thela. Taylor is missing.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so maybe missing, I will bring it tomorrow. So that could be it for today. Tomorrow we will resume we will continue. Please go through, you got 25 pages in your hands. You will